Welcome again to one of our interview agent series. This month, we're here in the Kendall office, and we're here with Marlene. Um, we are doing a different spin on what we usually do every month regarding our interview series. We are doing something called My First Closing Experience. There's a lot of new associates that join our company, and if you're sitting in one of our boot camps, you're one of our new associates. So we wanted to interview someone that just went to their first closing, she can share some thoughts about how the process was, and then we're gonna open it to some questions over here in the public, sitting with us here at the Kendall office. Marlene, good afternoon, nice to see you.
Good afternoon, nice to meet you.
So that is very informal, we just went over a couple of questions, and feel free to give me your input on some of the questions. Prior to real estate, Marlene, what was your background and what were you doing prior to getting licensed?
Yeah, my background is in property management, in commercial property management. I did it for over 19 years with a private investor and developer. And I was involved in many transactions, commercial transactions, but not as an agent. And that's basically my background, leasing and acquiring and disposition of commercial property with, but not as an agent.
Not as an agent. Okay, so you have some experience with the lingo, the terminology, so you know what a closing statement was, and title insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the leg up on that.
Mm.
This transaction that you just did, your first transaction, as an agent, how did that deal get to you, and how long did it take you to close that deal?
Okay, well, this particular client was a tenant of one of the properties that I manage.
Okay.
And, I was trying to reach out to all my tenants and, get what I was doing out there. And they asked me for somebody. They knew I was doing commercial. So they say, well, do you have somebody to recommend residential? And I say, I'll do it. It took me about 2 months, almost, close to 2 months. Since the moment that they told me they wanted to buy a new house, till we closed.
To the moment we closed. It's very funny that it was a past client. Our top 5% company-wide or producers. I have sat down and asked them, what is it this year that's working for you? And they all came back with the same thing. They're all going back to the sphere of influence. Actually, the number one top producer of the company, who's been doing real estate for 20 years, 80% of his business this year is past referrals. So he keeps going to he says, and so I keep going back to the tree, and it keeps giving me fruit every month. And you, since you don't have a database of 20 years, but you have another database, you're doing the same thing, you're targeting that database.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I'm just reaching out to my previous tenants, vendors, and I've been getting a lot of response.
Good. What did you recommend to your buyer before moving forward? When you first had the buyer consultation, what did you guys discuss? What did you cover?
Well, as soon as I met with them, the first thing that I recommend them was to get pre-qualified. I told them before, they wanted to go out and see houses already, and I said, let's do something, let's get you pre-qualified so we know exactly what we're gonna be looking for. In the case of this client, they own a house already, so they were gonna sell their house and buy a new one, and I wanted to make sure that they could do that, and they could buy the new house before they could sell the other house. So that was the first.
Yeah. No, it's funny because a lot of people want to get in the car and for you to take them out to see homes, they're doing themselves a disservice because they might think they qualify for a number, and they might qualify for even more. Rates just took another tumble this week, so interest rates are down again. So it's better for them to know what they can really afford, what's within their plans. This is a funny question. How many homes did you show this buyer? How many properties did you walk through with this buyer?
Okay, well, with this buyer, it was relatively good.
Good.
And this is my first closing, but it's not the first client. My first client I'm gonna close in a week from now.
Good.
So that one was a different scenario. This client, I didn't show them that many properties. I will say we sold like maybe 8 properties. After the third one, we placed a contract, and we didn't get that contract. And then we saw a couple of more houses. They took our offer, and that wasn't the one that they closed on, though. because there was an issue with the roof. So we pull out of the contract and we place another contract and we close on that one.
So.
So I would say like between less than 10 houses.
Less than 10 houses, yeah. In Florida, FAR statistics says that every buyer right now is looking at 30 homes. 30 homes before they make an offer. But the downside to that is not the 30 homes. They're looking and talking to 16 of you before they buy a house. And when you ask them, why did you buy from number 16 and not from number 1? The answer is always, he didn't follow up with me. He eventually forgot about me. So, gotta remember that if you meet him, you might be number 4 out of 16. So just keep that in the back of your head. I gotta be number 16, I gotta be the last one. So, presented one offer, got declined, presented an offer, got accepted, it was a roof issue.
Yeah.
And then presented another offer. So
Yeah.
about three
Yeah.
contracts put
Yeah.
together. Okay. Since you have that issue with the inspection, with the roof, how did the process go with the inspections?
Okay, the inspections, it went great. I used the in-house vendor, which,
Okay.
should I say the name?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Yeah, it's same day inspection. And what I did is, the minute that they accept the contract, I called them right away because I want to make sure that my client wouldn't go into spending money on the appraiser and all that, but I had the limit of time to. So I called them, they were great, they did inspection, I got the report the same day at night. And it came out that the roof needed replacement. It wasn't like, it had a lifespan of 2 years, it needed replacement. So we would try to work the deal with the seller, and they did offer a discount. It wasn't what we were looking for, so we decided to pull out the contract. And before we did that, we got the inspection company was able to give us an estimate of the replacement of the roof. And I had somebody else coming over and give me an estimate. So we had a number that we needed to work with, okay? And, but it was great, a great experience with the inspection company.
Okay. And the seller was amicable to a price reduction, or?
They did, but not enough. And what happened was that we kept looking at houses. My client is very like decisively, when they want to do something, they want to do it. So we kept looking at houses while we were doing the estimate of the roof. And we found another house. But the seller of this house that had the roof problem, they offered a credit. It wasn't enough. We canceled the contract. Like 2 days after we canceled the contract, they came back to us to offer an additional discount. But by then, we had already found another house that they liked better, so, you know.
So then this was an as-is contract?
It was an as-is contract with a 10-day
Yeah.
inspection.
10-day inspection, okay. You mentioned you didn't want your client to have any extra expenses, so the appraisal was ordered after.
Yes.
How did that go? Were you present the day of the appraisal? Did you bring them comps, or?
Yeah, well, actually, by mistake, the appraiser called me instead of the listing agent,
Okay,
right?
that's a good mistake.
So they ordered the appraiser, the appraiser called me, and then since I knew already that they were not supposed to call me, I told him, hey, I'm not the listing agent, but then I knew that. So, my client wanted to see the house one more time. And this particular seller was a little bit tricky about showing the house a second time. So I took advantage of the date of the appraiser, and I was there with my client. They allow us to come in. We waited till the appraiser came out, and then we showed the house. You know, my client got into the house again, and saw it one more time.
Call it a fun fact if you want to. The seller has only to show the house to the client after contract one more time for inspections and one more time for appraisal. After that, the seller can say, that's it, see you a walkthrough, and that's simple. You know, so if you have a seller that wants to go back with mom, dad, uncles, measure for furniture, or any of those other things, if you got a buyer that wants to do all those things, you only have per contract 2 more entrances into the house. After that, you gotta wait until you walk through. So I'm glad that you used the walkthrough.
No, that was actually an issue because my client couldn't understand that. They were saying like, why we want to see the house? And then I reached out to them, to Ernesto, and they explained this to me, and I had to tell my client, we have no really rights to see the house again.
Yeah. And most sellers just think, they're already in love with the house. I don't want to do not, to lose that love for the house, so let me just take them out of the equation. Since this process was, this file was a little challenging, what step-by-step method did you, have you put together to sort of help you moving forward? Or follow-ups and
Okay, well, one of the lessons that I got from this closing, the most important, I think, to me particularly, was keeping up with the due dates, I really developed a system now for my next one, when I'm always a week ahead of the due date, to be proactive. Because many of the issues that I have that were basically with the lender and communication between the lender and my client could have been avoided for me being more proactive. And that's what I'm taking from this one,
Okay.
being sure, like in this particular closing, there was an addendum that would put my loan commitment, needed to be done in 25 days. And at the time, before I signed the addendum, I contacted the lender and I say, is this a problem with this client? And they say, no, there's not a problem. And I just forgot about it. I advised my client to sign, we signed the addendum, and I forgot about it. And then when the 25 days approached very quick, very extremely quick. And it was on a long weekend, and it wasn't a good weekend for me. Everything came out right, but I should have been more conscious of the dates.
all the dates? So then, if there was one lesson you learned from the transaction, it was that you gotta create a.
Absolutely, be on top, of the dates. Yeah.
Okay.
And for that now, I have, everywhere on my calendars, I have like a week before, 3 days before, depending on what it is. And follow up again.
Follow up. On a side note, we are, I don't know if you guys saw the email, we're rolling out DocuSign and DocuTransactions as part of Artec. And we have it already active on our site, so we are making the programming for it. And one of the components we have added to Artec is that we have added a reminder. So once you load the file and you set the dates, the system will remind you, inspections is in 3 days, inspections is in 2 days, inspections are done today. Same thing with the loan commitments, same thing with the appraisal. So we're creating a sort of a fail-safe system out of your experience and a few other agents' experience. So
Excellent.
once you load a file in, the file will automatically tell you what's coming up. DocuSign is already live for management. Once we have the platform completely built, we're thinking of rolling it out to you guys August 1st. And the idea with that is for you guys to go completely paperless. The DocuSign that we're signing up is the DocuSign Pro, which is 100% mobile ready. So you can upload documents directly, upload transactions, sign documents. You'll be able to do everything from here, and so will your clients and other realtors. So you'll be able to control your entire process from your mobile device. Did it make a difference to work with an in-house vendors like Stewart Title and?
Absolutely. From the first in-house vendor that I worked with was the inspection. I called them, I told them I was from Rio to South Florida. They knew everything. They treated me like I was a client that had bring many transactions, And then I had Stewart Title doing the closing and handling the title. An excellent team. Everything came out so easy when it was, because everybody knew. And even though it was my first transaction, I didn't feel like that was the only transaction that I had done, because everything was so easy with them.
A question that a lot of them out there have. Did you tell them you were new to real estate?
Okay, well, remember this particular client I knew for many years. Okay. They came to me because they were familiar with the way I work. I have worked with them with commercial real estate in many transactions. So they knew. I will not tell. If you ask me how is it going to be in the future, I'm not going to tell. I don't think we need to tell. We have a lot of resources in the industry, within the industry, and within Realtor World South Florida, that so much support that you really, if you reach out for help, you really don't have to feel, that you're new, because you have all the tools there. You just you know, use them.
So then if they ask you, I've been in the
Yeah,
business
because
for
I
I've been in the
really-
business for about a year.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
yes,
a good
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, in my case, I always say, you know, what my background is, but, yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to just push it out there, oh, this is my first transaction, or I never done this before. That's my opinion.
That's your opinion. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that concludes our series. We're gonna go ahead and take some questions from the public here in the the Kendall office. And thank you, Mike. Guys, make it a good day.